Have you ever wondered what secrets lie behind the closed doors of power? We often hear about the public battles for independence, the rallies, the speeches, the sacrifices. But what about the stories that aren't told, the ones whispered in secret? In lodges and brotherhoods, far from the prying eyes of colonial rulers. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on one of history's most fascinating and controversial chapters, the hidden role of Masonic lodges in the liberation of Africa. Let's start at the beginning. In colonial Africa, Masonic lodges were initially established by European administrators. Merchants and military officers, they were exclusive clubs. Symbols of colonial power, but something unexpected happened. These lodges became one of the very few spaces where Europeans and the emerging African elite could meet on equal terms as brothers. This was revolutionary. In a society strictly segregated by race, the lodge offered a neutral ground. Ambitious young Africans, future leaders of their nations, saw an opportunity. By joining, they gained access to networks, knowledge, and a language of fraternity that transcended the ethnic and tribal divisions often exploited by colonial powers. It was here, in these secret meetings, that the seeds of a unified national identity began to sprout. The lodge provided a protected space, a sanctuary where forbidden ideas like liberty, equality, and self-governance could be discussed without fear of immediate reprisal. The Brotherhood wasn't just a ceremonial term. It was a strategic tool for organizing against a common oppressor. This secret network became a powerful engine for revolution. Leaders like Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana and Omar Bongo of Gabon were adept at navigating these fraternal circles. They weren't just members, they were masters of the craft. They understood that the rigid hierarchy and discipline of Masonic rituals mirrored the organizational structure needed to run a successful anti-colonial movement. Every member had a role, a responsibility, a place in the grand design. This wasn't just about local organizing. The international nature of Freemasonry gave these African leaders a global stage. Their connections to European lodges became diplomatic backchannels, secret lines of communication to negotiate the terms of independence. While public rhetoric was fiery and confrontational, behind the scenes, these fraternal ties were used to smooth the transfer of power, securing international legitimacy for their fledgling nations. They were speaking a language of symbols and rituals that their European counterparts understood, allowing them to negotiate sovereignty from a position of unexpected strength. Once independence was won, the work of building a new nation began, and the influence of the lodge didn't just disappear. It was literally built into the foundations of the new states. If you look closely at the architecture of many post-colonial capitals, you'll see it. The grand designs of government buildings, parliamentary houses, and national monuments often incorporate Masonic symbols and principles the square encompass the all-seeing eye. The pillars of Solomon's temple, these weren't just decorative flourishes. They were statements of a new order. A great architect designing a new society, the influence went even deeper. The constitutional models and legal frameworks of many new African nations were inspired by the internal governance of the lodge, the rules of debate, parliamentary procedure. And even the concept of a written constitution owed a debt to these fraternal blueprints. And what about the leader? The role of the worshipful master, the ultimate authority within the lodge, transformed into the political archetype of the strong, charismatic president or father figure guiding his new nation. But what happens when a tool for liberation becomes a mechanism for control? As the dust of independence settled, the role of these secret societies began to change. The very networks that had united people against colonialism now became a way for a new elite to consolidate power. The lodge evolved from a revolutionary cell into a sort of fraternal deep state. It became a closed-loop system for recruitment and gatekeeping. Key political appointments, promotions within the military, and lucrative government contracts were often decided not in public offices, but within the private confines of the lodge. The democratic process was, in many cases, just for show. The real decisions were made among brothers. This created a fundamental tension. Publicly, leaders projected a fierce nationalism, an Africa for Africans ideology. But privately, their allegiance was also to a transnational brotherhood, a global network with its own rules and loyalties. This dual identity created a complex and often contradictory political landscape, one that shaped the continent for decades to come. So where does this leave us today? In the 21st century, the legacy of this hidden compass is still very much alive. The old fraternal networks have evolved, influencing the shape of modern regional blocs and economic alliances across Africa. There's a powerful and ongoing movement to Africanize these societies, to strip away their colonial origins while retaining their organizational power and influence. It's an attempt to reclaim the structure for a new African purpose. But this brings us to the ultimate question. Did these secret societies ultimately help or hinder the continent? Did they provide the necessary stability and discipline in the chaotic early years of independence? Or did they simply replace one ruling class with another, entrenching a permanent elite that operates beyond the reach of democratic accountability? The truth, as always, is complex. The Lodge was both a key that unlocked the door to freedom and a blueprint for a new kind of power structure, one whose secrets are still shaping the destiny of a continent. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you found this journey into the hidden corridors of history interesting, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives.